Hi everybody, I'm back with some more movie reviews for you. Something weird video movie reviews for you. I think everyone who's left comments recently or just viewed. It seems I'm not the only person with the something weird video collection, which is good to know. And if you've seen any of the three movies that I'm about to suggest for you, please leave a comment or a question or anything like that, because I like to, see what other people think about these movies. They're weird. Uh, and I like weird movies. I'm sharing them with you. So, my first movie, if you are not going to run out and see Spider Man, because I'm not going to run out and see Spider Man, but you want a movie with action and adventure and a superhero in it, I am suggesting that you get Goliath and the Dragon. Goliath and the Dragon. So this is, definitely one of those, sword and sandal, pseudo Italian, Hercules, Goliath, Atlas type of movies. But it's probably one of the best that I've seen of all time. Sorry, Steve Reeves. Now, Steve Reeves is the best looking guy from this type of movie. And the guy that they've got in here who plays Goliath, he's not such a bad looker himself. But what makes this movie is the production value on two fronts. So, first of all, it's got all the ruins, and everyone's wearing exciting costumes. The girls are always lovely. They've got all kinds of diaphanous dresses and crisscrossy things with jewelry, and their hair and their wigs are just the higher the wig, the closer to Zeus. So everyone looks just great. They all look opulent, and the other part of it that's so great about this movie is, as far as production values go, are all the creatures. I don't know how to put this. They're just so awesome. And the commitment that the actor who plays Goliath shows in battling them is, they're puppets, okay? And this man fights these puppets like they're real, okay? The dragon, of course, is a big dragon head puppet that you don't get to see the entire body of it. You just see it from about here, and this is the puppet. But it comes into the scene and comes out from the scene, and it's got googly eyes and stuff. But he beats that thing like it's, like it owes him money. That's exciting. There's a three-headed dog in here that actually shoots fire. And again, it's a puppet of a three-headed dog that shoots fire, but the fire is real. And this actor is basically being directed to get into the middle of the three heads and beat this thing while fire is shooting out of it. So, it's just his commitment to the danger of it. That's real danger. That's real fire. So, it kind of looks like he might die in that scene. And then there's a scene in this. I don't want to give away all of the creatures that he fights. But there's a scene in this that price of admission moment where he fights an elephant. And the thing is that it's a real elephant. It's not a puppet elephant this time. But this elephant cannot be bothered. They kind of trot him out, and this guy just grabs it by the leg and starts wrestling it. And at one point, I believe a trainer probably just tells the elephant to sit down, and that's when the guy jumps on it like he's actually getting the elephant to submit. So there's other cool things in it that I don't want to give away. Snakes and man-bats and all kinds of different creatures. But it's just a fun watch. It's fun to see them really commit to the idea of these legends. And the story itself is kind of, it's the usual story of a Hercules type, a Goliath type, who goes around, and he's pretty much known everywhere for being a badass. And the royalty or the owners, everybody, try to think of ideas to get rid of him, right? And usually they go through a girl or something like that. But in this, for instance, they're going to try to go through his brother, who also is in love with a girl. So at various times, different ladies are getting trapped and stuff like that. So as you do, it's like real life, really. And then Goliath has to come and save you. So If you really, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this without giving it all away. But I mean, if you want to see a muscle man wrestle an elephant to the ground, this is the movie for you. It was the movie for me. The next two movies, I really want, if anyone has seen these, to give me a comment and really let's discuss them, because one of the themes that I find in these exploitation films often is of the young lady who goes off into the world to try to find her fortune or to escape some bad situation. And often in these movies, in this exploitation movies anyways, the real world is worse than whatever she was leaving. So, and there's really nothing for you to do but to sell your body or to be roughed up, or, you know, you very rarely in any of these movies does a woman come out on top. And one such example of this is Girl in Trouble. I don't know if you can see it. This has got 3 different movies on it, but I've only watched A Girl in Trouble right now. You know, A Girl in Trouble is a temporary thing, but not in this, for instance. So what makes this movie so much fun is that this girl, Judy Collins, not the singer, unfortunately, leaves her town of Springfield, Louisiana, and she goes to find her fortune in New Orleans, right? So it's shot all in New Orleans, I assume. And it turns out that even though she's a bigwig in her high school, like, you know, a smart cookie in her high school, that doesn't mean crap in Louisiana. And she can't even get a job as a waitress there. But she does meet another older lady, actually, who kind of a Mrs. Roper type, who has this like a boarding house that she can stay at. And Mrs. Roper, Mrs. Roper type, gets her jobs over and over again. Just because she feels bad for her, I guess. They never say in the movie, like, you know, that she does anything other than pay the rent with these jobs. But, you know, it's just kind of funny. For example, one of the jobs that you can get if you're a young lady and you go to New Orleans is lingerie model. So what you do is you find a lingerie shop and you model the clothing. So obviously this is pre-internet time where you would just watch a video of somebody, I guess. But so she models the clothes and she's pretty. The actress who plays Judy is pretty. And basically she models the clothes. And she has one time where there's a gentleman who, I guess, you know, he's rich, and he can't be bothered to come down to the store to see her model. And so he asks the owner of the shop to send her over to his hotel room. And what's interesting about it is it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of sexy because the guy is not bad looking. So it's kind of a fantasy thing in a way, like, oh, well, she's attractive and he's attractive. But of course, you know, watching her change all these outfits gets the better of him, and he, you know, roughs her up at some point. So she drops that job and she goes home to Mrs. Roper, and and Mrs. Roper, you know, is sympathetic because she's on a date who she kicks out when she sees the girls crying, and she's like, you know, get out of here, bum. You know, I'm losing my money, but so she sees the girl crying, you know, she can't believe she lost his job. And she said, well, you know, I have another job for you. You could be a stripper at a nightclub. So Judy goes to be a stripper at a nightclub. And what's funny about this is everything. The fact that her costume is just kind of outrageous. It's sort of a, you know, Dance of the Seven Veils looking costume, but she has a wig on top of a wig on top of a wig kind of look. You have to see it to believe it. Just to see somebody dancing in that wig would have been enough for me. I mean, there's your price of admission scene. But what's really funny is that an ex-stripper teaches her how to dance, and so there's this whole scene where she's learning how to dance, and she's not really good. So, you know, poor Judy can't win for losing, can ya? So she gets the job, and she runs into, I'm getting it all backwards, but her old boyfriend from Springfield shows up because he's been looking for her this entire time. And, you know, I don't know why he would think wholesome Judy Collins would be at this strip club. I prefer to think that he just got bored with it and he thought, I'm in New Orleans, I might as well just go see a strip show. But Judy is there and he sees her, and of course she freaks out and she runs because she doesn't want him to see, that she didn't become the big success that she thought she was going to be. When she leaves town, he offered to marry her, but she was all like, no, I have to see what the world has out there for me. So of course she's really devastated when she sees him, and things happen, and I don't want to give the entire movie away, but she gets in trouble. Okay. But there's a happy ending to it. There's a happy ending and a not happy ending to it. It depends on how you look at it. Either all of her dreams come true and she got the chance to experiment, and, now that she's got that out of her system, the bad way to look at it is that once you get that out of your system, really there's nothing for you to do but to get married to the first guy who ever said he would marry you and just have children and take care of your drunken father. And that's all there is out there for women. So that's the message I got from this. I wish that she had triumphed at the end, but she didn't. And I really feel like when it comes to exploitation films, that's kind of the message that they like to get across, that there's no success for you. There's no badass Tora Satana, type in this movie who's going to turn her world around and say, you know what, you don't need men. You can do it all on your own. No, she goes out. She sees what the world is all about. There's nothing out there for women other than being, lingerie models or strippers. So you might as well just go back to your hometown and marry the guy that, you met from high school. So, isn't that pleasant? That's what I got from that film. So I wonder what you got from that film, Girl in Trouble. The last movie I've got here, of course, title alone, you have to see this movie. If you see the title Bad Girls Go to Hell, and you're like, I have to see this movie, then how can you not see? How can you see it? All women are bad. All women are bad. What causes him to believe that all women were bad? All bad. So there's a couple of things about this. And as you know, with anything, something weird, at least for me anyways, with something weird videos is, I love that they put so many other previews and other photos and stuff for other movies, because it makes you fall down the rabbit hole. You see a title from another movie and you're like, what? Or a preview from another movie and you're like, I gotta see that movie now. So All Women Are Bad is an example of that. I forget what I was watching originally, but the preview for this was on there. And there were two things about it that grabbed me. First of all, the taglines where they said, all women are bad. Medical science has known this for years, but now there's a picture that proves it. So, it makes you think, well, what does medical science know that they're not telling us? All women are bad. And secondly, in the preview, the voiceover guy, who isn't the one who's doing the voiceover in the movie, and the movie is all voiceover, by the way. It's a classic in that way. Says, all women are bad, and I ought to know. I'm a man. So, whoever made this movie was burnt by somebody, and that's the person I want to meet. Because I want to know what she did that was so horrible that this guy was like, I need to make a movie about it. All women are bad. Don't trust them. And this is kind of it's a good companion piece to Girl in Trouble, actually. Instead of a woman leaving to find out what the world's about, this is a man leaving to find out what the world's about. And he leaves because basically he's a door-to-door salesman, and he's not having much success. And he goes home and he sees his wife in bed with another man. And whereas some other people might be outraged and kick the guy out, he just silently leaves the room. So he really starts to think about, why did this happen and what's going on in my life, that my wife doesn't want to be with me anymore. And as the movie plays, what I got from it anyways, is that this guy really loves this girl, okay? So he's very heartbroken, and he's having a mental breakdown about it, actually, is what's happening in the course of the movie. So the movie is all voiceovers, but as he's leaving the apartment, he really goes through it. He gets mad, and then he gets sad, and then he gets thoughtful, and then he gets scared, and then he gets angry, and then, he really runs the gamut of emotions in this film. But what he decides is he's going to go to the city, take the ferry to the city, and just, try to find himself. At one point he says, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So we think, oh, well, he's going to go and try to find somebody to screw, right? Well, not necessarily. He goes to a couple of different, scenes, including going to a restaurant, and then another time he's at a talent agent's office for some reason. There's not a lot of connection. But what's interesting about this is the things that he encounters as he goes through these different things. So I don't want to give it entirely away, but the scene that, to me, there's two scenes to me that are the price of admission scenes for this. One is he goes to this, I don't know what you call it, just a bar, I guess. He goes to this bar where girls are stripping. Some of the most lackluster stripping you've ever seen. I mean, these poor girls, they're smiling and they're happy. So I'm assuming whoever the boyfriend is that got them to do this in the movie, is a nice guy. He wasn't abusing them or anything, I don't think. Because they're stripping in such a and I'm just kind of taking clothes off. There's no dancing, no gyrating, no bumping and grinding or anything like that. Just kind of like hippie types taking off their clothes. So he goes to this bar where that's happening. And he watches a little bit of that. He sees some lesbians kissing, And the entire time his inner monologue is playing for us where he's just saying, look at that woman and see how that woman's treating people. And yes, it's true. All these women are bad. And women, they make us do things we don't want to do. And they make us feel ways that we don't want to feel. So it's very psychological. But he also encounters a gay man. So there's a gay character in this, which I thought was very interesting. And this is very flamboyant. And he goes into the bar and he hits on some guys and he's all like, girl, this and that. And there's even a scene where, here's the pro-GLBT part of the movie, where some people start to, want to harass the gay guy, but he's pretty tall and pretty big. And he just kind of gets his way out of it. He beats the people up, basically, and escapes with his ride boy. So he takes his ride boy up to this apartment, and of course this guy follows them because he's a total voyeur in the entire movie. And we see the guy, flirting with the person he brought home, and the person he brought home is just kind of sitting there like, oh, I'm an innocent. But the other guy, and he's got like a crazy like costume and stuff like that, which I suppose is supposed to be he's the gay. So the gay, he looked like a male gay. Is touching his knee and stuff and flirting with him and trying to go up by his face and everything like that. And it's funny. But then there's a scene where for some reason when he starts to go down on the guy turns into the main character's wife. And so the character has breasts, something like that. And every time he goes to voyeur something, of course, a girl takes off her clothes. So he has to watch them take off their clothes and everything like that. So I thought that this was a very interesting play on all these kind of like gender issues and sexuality. And maybe if you want to extrapolate it that far, even a little transgender, idea goes into that. Because why would he first of all, why would he want to go and watch two guys if he thinks, is this him saying all women are bad, so now I'm going to be gay? Which I'm sure some people have thought stuff like that, But then he goes, and when he sees them interacting, it's like his mind won't allow him to see two men being intimate. He has to make one of them a woman for this to work for him as he's watching it. So that was one thing that I thought was really interesting as far as all women go bad. All women are bad. All women do go bad too, It's just how we're built, apparently, to medical science. But I thought that was very interesting. And then there's another scene in which he goes to follow this girl who I thought was supposed to be an actress, but maybe she's supposed to be a stripper. I'm not quite sure. She does an audition in this agent's office where, of course, the audition is take off your clothes. And she sort of looks like Marsha Wallace from the Bob Newhart show, like a young Marsha Wallace. To me, she does. Maybe it is, and but she auditions for the agent. He sends her off on a job, and the guy follows the girl again after he's already seen her naked. So I don't know why you're going to follow her again. But he goes, and in this scene, which is worth the price of admission, she goes to his apartment, and I guess the guy who's asked her to come over, or the agent has sent her over to, is wearing a mask, an old man mask. So he looks like an older man, I guess, because we never really see what he actually looks like. But it's got like the big nose and, jowls and white hair and white eyebrows and stuff like that. But basically, what the man does is after the girl undresses, his big fantasy is to tickle her with feathers. So the whole scene is her naked, kind of going eek, 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 and he tickles her feet. He just tickles her legs, like from the ankle down. I mean, from the knee down, and it's just like he's watching this. And the voiceover, of course, of the main character guy is just sort of like, "This is the most perverse thing I've ever seen." So he's just like, "But you know what? It's her fault. She made him do this. That's right. Just by taking off her clothes, this girl forced this man in a Halloween mask to tickle her with feathers." So, women, watch this movie and you will understand your power. No. Men, watch this movie and I don't know. I think, it will just make you mad. But here's the thing. The way I interpret this movie is, as I kind of said in the beginning, this guy really loved his wife. And he just couldn't wrap his mind around the idea that actually he's kind of stale. He's kind of not interesting. And she went off and decided to try to find other things to do in life. And when he does that himself, he's unable to do so. He's unable to take part in any of these scenes. He can only be a voyeur in these scenes. He can't actually take action in any of them. So I thought that was interesting. You could extrapolate that into some sort of emasculation. Women emasculate men, so therefore they become very, flaccid and unable to perform. If you like. The ending of the movie, though, and I won't give it away, the ending of the movie has a little bit of a Bad Girls Go to Hell vibe to it. So if you've seen that movie, you get an idea of how this one ends. But it's actually kind of sweet. And there's voiceover the entire movie except for the very end when we finally get to hear his wife's voice. So it really left me with a lot of questions and interesting asides as far as the male psyche goes. I thought I knew men, but I guess I don't. What I do know, though, is all women are bad in the minds of men. Because they can't hold anything. See?